Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Hello, good Saturday evening, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into the Q2 Weekend News. I'm Dustin Klemann. We begin nationally. The White House is denying reports that President Donald Trump made disparaging comments about some immigrants. That memorandum does not obligate any funds from the city. A term sheet, one that could be presented before the end of the year, would be discussed and decided upon by City Council. Now, what will be in that term sheet is yet to be determined. The One Big Sky Center would be split into two phases, as you see on your screen, and could add up to about $350 million in public investment, about $1.8 billion in private investment. Large swaths of land, as you can see behind me, have been destroyed and blackened from the fire here at the Lodgepole complex. That actually started as 11 fires. Fortunately, locals were able to hop on quickly in the first few hours and get that down to 2. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this MTN special presentation. I'm Dustin Klemann. The Montana wildfires of 2017, they've had an impact on our people and our land for months. We're coming to you tonight with stories that shaped our news for months, and we ask for your help. Also to say thank you to those who have already given. What John said is important because Montana's labor force of 55 and older is growing by 4,000 people each year. In that case, Montana faces a labor shortage, so those who stay in the workforce can actually fill those gaps. It was quite the scene, hundreds lining up in the streets to pay their respects to a fallen hero. Now, just before more arrived in downtown, the rain stopped and the sun shined through. It was an incredible moment. Also, U.S. Senator Steve Daines today introducing the Back the Blue Act of 2017. That would increase penalties for criminals who intentionally target law enforcement officers and provide new tools for officers to protect themselves. You can read that whole thing on KTVQ.com right now. Jay and Janelle, these two know each other quite well. Both served on the City County Planning Board years ago. Speaking with both of them, they've been friends. They talk to each other. They talk highly of each other as well. Tonight, more than 24,000 ballots cast, right?
Right.
County officials expect that to jump by another 4,000, 28,000. So we'll see where those votes end up splitting. We'll be paying attention to it. Good evening, Jay and Janelle. As you can see behind me, people returning their ballots. 41,000 ballots have been returned before the 8 p.m. deadline so far, and election officials expect a couple hundred more. On the ballot, some community issues that are very important. It includes a new mayor for the city of Billings. Cole was overwhelmed with the support. The task at hand isn't lost on him either. Billings mayor is a major undertaking. Now, the process of the Magic City's future takes more than just one voice. More than 18,000 vehicles use North 27th Street each day to get to their location, and tens of thousands more use downtown streets to arrive at theirs. With some streets becoming tapped out at certain times of the day, the city is looking toward the future of how they can better traffic flow and safety. Hello and good Sunday evening, folks. Thank you so much for tuning into the Q2 Weekend News to close out your weekend. I'm Dustin Klemann. We begin with the incident over the weekend that has social media lit up with opinions. A former Marine sergeant attempting to stop shoplifters and firing his weapon after they attempted to flee.
I don't think the motorcycle is going to have to stay in the garage the entire season, and that's good news for me, isn't it now, Dustin?
That is very good news. And the shorts aren't going away for the winter either because, you know,
flip-flops.
Flip-flops. I
good.
remember as a kid, you probably remember, well, you lived in California, so it doesn't matter. But as a kid here in Montana, I guarantee you see kids running around. 35 degrees?
You hang on to it.
It's warming up. Hello and good Sunday evening, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to close out your weekend. I'm Dustin Klemann. Several teams responded to President Trump's NFL comments in various forms of protest during the national anthem prior to their games. Let's go to the weather scene before we go any further. Rob Griggs is here, and he's giving you good reason to look forward to the end of the week.
Yeah, because it's going to get warmer. And right now, this time of year, anytime we say warmer, we'll take
Thumbs
it.
up.
Yeah, thumbs up. That's a good call.
Out among Montana's fish, wildlife, and parks.
We just got trolled by Winston Greeley.
I think they were pulling a funny.
So Google knows exactly what you want for your menu on the Super Bowl party. They've narrowed it down state by state, too.
Wow.
Friday, Google Trends released its list of top Super Bowl recipe searches this year. What do you think Montana's was?
I would say wings.
Yeah, wings?
I'd
You say
something
wings?
with meat. Something
Meat,
with
yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Buttermilk biscuits.
What?
Chances of winning? 1 in 292 million.
So you're getting 2 to 1 on your money.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good shot.
Good odds. Perfect.
What's the first purchase you would have?
First purchase I would have,
That's a tough one.
You never have to wear the same pair of socks ever again.
Ever.
The suspect, who barricaded himself inside a Billings sporting goods store for 9 hours, is dead. The dangerous standoff included numerous rounds of gunfire, but no injuries to police. Here's the very latest. A suspect drove a vehicle into the front of Big Bear Sports Center early Saturday morning. The suspect fired shots inside the store, and when police arrived, officers fired their weapons.
We had random, intermittent gunshots from inside the store. They were of all caliber, small and large, we could tell from the sound.
The man barricaded himself inside the sporting goods store, and police called it SWAT team, as well as the negotiator on scene. More gunfire, flashbangs. The negotiations went on for 9 hours.
At one point, we thought that he was going to give himself up. He exited, or started to exit, from the east door next to PetSmart. He showed his hands initially, retreated into the building, and then the next thing we saw was a rifle barrel that was pointed in the direction of officers.
An officer fired at the suspect, driving him back into the store. Police continued to negotiate, and 30 minutes later, the suspect went back to the front door and then fired at officers. Police received visual confirmation of the suspect through security cameras inside the store.
We saw that he was not moving, and so after 30 minutes, we sent our robot in to double check. Previously, he had feigned that he was going to give up, so we didn't want to put anybody at risk. The robot went in, took an assessment, and then we sent our tactical team in with the sheriff's office to verify that the individual was indeed down, and then clear the rest of the store.
And now the investigation begins.
We have a crime scene here that we're going to deal with, so our detectives are going to be working through the entire store. I have no idea what our suspect did while he was in the store. Don't know what damage, if any. Obviously he had access to weapons and he used them, so he may have spent some time back in the gun section. These are all things that are going to come out in the investigation.
And part of that investigation, too, was what the suspect was doing prior to going to the store. A Walmart employee contacted us this afternoon saying he witnessed the suspect attempting to open a gun case in the store. He was told to leave by staff before he barreled into the front of Big Bear. Now, the employee said that the man appeared impaired. St. John says 7 officers discharged their weapons throughout the standoff that led to the suspect's death. This is what the scene looked like this evening. Police used city dump trucks to provide protection from possible stray bullets entering the busy King Avenue area. Businesses in the immediate area were closed, and some others further away decided to close their doors until the situation was resolved. St. John says, though, he was pleased with how officers handled the safety of the public.
When you have people shooting high-powered rifles and a propensity to do so, that the decision to close this area down was the right one. It was prudent. You see that we had trucks lining the front of Big Bear to prevent any rounds from going over. Once he came out that side door, that changed because we couldn't cover that. It's a very, very tragic deal, but handled very well, I thought.
It's unclear if Big Bear will be open for business tomorrow. It does look unlikely. The situation caused significant damage to the front entrance, including a ruptured water main and gas line. Again, the suspect has not been identified at this time. We'll continue to follow the story on air and online at ktvq.com as it develops.
An Air Force service member touched down in Billings last night after serving a 3-year deployment in Germany.
Dustin Klemann was at the airport as family, friends, and onlookers gave the Northern Cheyenne man a hero's welcome.
A hero is home. 24 years, 4 tours. Air Force Master Sergeant Eugene Fisher Jr. received the traditional ceremony of a warrior returning from the battlefield.
The pride that was inside of me, it's a great honor to have this many people in the tribe come out and recognize the great work that I did for 24 years.
Fisher's part of a long line of veterans within his family and the Northern Cheyenne tribe.
I always say it's in our blood. We just wanted the people to know that our long history of serving our country. It goes way back.
Those who also arrived home on the same flight looked on as the tribe performed the ceremony.
To bless his spirit, welcome his spirit back into society. When our warriors go into combat, they're not the same when they come home. And in order for them to be able to coexist, we welcome not only the soldier, but also their spirit.
And now to see, I mean, the public is always out there. And whenever I got this hat on I'm wearing, or I have one that says Vietnam Vet, it surprises me how many people come up and say thank you for your service. And it makes you feel good.
Family and friends, who some know Fisher as his nickname Taters, lined up to thank him for his sacrifice. A sacrifice that the Northern Cheyenne tribe and younger generations
That's your uncle.
won't forget.
We're a lot of warriors in the Northern Cheyenne, and for them to come in and support me for the 24 years that I supported this nation, you know, it's a great honor.
In Billings, I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News. To know where we're going, we need to revisit our past.
Really what makes Billings special is that it's based on the railroad. It's completely based on the railroad. Although our main industry might not be the railroad anymore, we're still impacted by that early development.
Frederick Billings, 1882. He saw something special. His son, on the other hand,
He said prospects in Billings look as bright as the bottom of a camp fry pan.
Needless to say, he was wrong. The Magic City grabbed its name from the explosion of population in the early 1900s, from 800 people in 1890 to over 10,000 just 20 years later. From there, a town in eastern Montana's prairies blossomed. The late 70s, early 80s meant monumental changes for Billings. The Sheridan Hotel was built, as well as the first interstate bank tower. Since then, the skyline hasn't changed much. Downtown Billings has remarkable landscape, with beauty on every corner. But it's not difficult to find blight, or those in need of a hand up.
Billings needs to step up and stand up. It's time.
Downtown Billings Alliance Executive Director Lisa Harmon and Director of Development Greg Kruger are both set to resign from their posts at the end of the year. But before they do, the Magic City will have a new framework plan, an update of one developed 2 decades ago.
It was a no-brainer. Everything in there was pretty well came into fruition.
Since the plan was implemented, Downtown Billings has invested more than $300 million on 317 projects. Now leaders say it's time for them to call their big shot.
We've done 317 base hits. We need a grand slam.
The future, as dictated by the meeting, includes dining on rooftops, public transportation revamping with trolleys or light rails, less one-way streets, more green space, better lighting, more housing options, and inclusion of Native Americans.
And I believe that downtown is going to lead out some of those broader issues and concerns that we have as a community that need to be addressed boldly by us standing up and saying, this is what I would like to see in my community.
Financially, there are few options. Much of downtown's transformation can be attributed to tax increment finance dollars, funds that are built up by the district's businesses, reinvested into downtown.
I think it's an incredible tool because I'm going to tell you, if we didn't have it, I don't think we would have invested in 300 projects in downtown.
We have so many things that we want to happen, and it all comes down to money. You need people or something, a vehicle to pay for it. And of course, the Chamber supported the Local Option Authority for years, and this discussion supports the need for it even further.
Now with the continued discussion of the One Big Sky Center, which may not look anywhere like its first designs, leaders say this is a pivotal moment in Billings' history, and it better choose wisely.
I don't think it's about one tall building. I don't think that that's a strategy for us as a city. You know, what do we want to be? What's our vision? I think that we need a mixed-use project. We need a game changer, I believe, in Billings.
And if we don't get on the bus that leads us into the next generation, the millennials are not going to come to Billings. And the ones that are here are not going to stay. Whatever happens has to be embraced by the community as a whole.
Whatever happens next won't be considered magic. Rather, the hard work found in a community that's thrived for 135 years. In Billings, I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News.
Q2's Dustin Klemann introduces us to a Billings company internationally known for their rugged and reliable products.
The operation had modest beginnings. Now, Red Ox, a Billings-based company run by military vets, can be found across the globe, and it's not your average luggage.
I simply put it this way, it's military spec for the civilian market. We put the military strength into it, the redundant failure points, U.S. source materials, things like that. So when you do get to the other side of the planet, you're not going to have a failure of your product.
Owner Jim Markle looked to the internet to grow his business. He and business partner Perry Jones found that difficult in 1997.
Starting out on the internet when we did was a big failure. We launched our first website over 20 years ago, and after spending a ton of money, it didn't work.
They took their lumps and then they learned some online marketing. And now 97% of the $2.5 million they make in annual sales doesn't come from inside their stores, but rather online, direct to consumers.
All in all, probably the highest use bag that we have in the product line on a year-to-day basis.
That aha moment has put Redhawks in the driver's seat for its future. Bags are primarily made from the same material that replaced the leather in U.S. soldier boots in 1991 and also used in Army backpacks.
The go-to bag for just about any adventure.
Its products are made from material sourced in the United States and assembled in the 406.
It's our path to competitiveness again. We, as a nation, don't really mass produce per se, like say against China, but as a niche producers, we have competitive advantage for small batches.
Markle sees the industrial production business in Montana gaining interest with less regulations and lower equipment taxes. For Redhawks, keeping its ties to Montana as strong as the bags it sells is all part of the process.
I feel like we're at the beginning again. You know, it's really strange that, you grow to another level, you put in a new facility, new machinery, and then you have to start all over again, growing to the next level. That's what it takes. You just have to keep moving up. I would say that we're genuinely invested in Billings. This is my home. I'm here to stay. I believe in my people, and I believe in what we're doing is the right way to go.
In the Magic City, I'm Dustin Klemann, MTN News.